This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Friday, February 28th, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net for our closing markets. But first, it is my discussion with Bryan Decker of Crosse Seeds.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here today at the Agribusiness Showcase in Altoona, and I'm joined now by Bryan Decker. He is with Crosse Seed. Bryan, could you tell me how Crosse Seed fits into the, network of DLF? Could you tell us about the DLF company and how Crosse Seed is part of that?
Yeah, certainly. So Crosse Seed is a distribution company and the distribution arm for DLF. So firstly, Crosse Seed, what we do is work with a group of dealer networks specializing in forage grasses, legumes, cover crops, turf grass, and supporting products as well as food plot seed, and most importantly, alfalfa. DLF is our, so to speak, DLF US is our mothership, and they are actually represented by a company out in Copenhagen, Denmark, owned by 3,000 producers that specialize in growing and producing the various seeds that we distribute and sell.
And what is your coverage area then for Crosse Seed and kind of the area that you're located at, and how far do you reach out?
Yeah, so obviously Crosse Seed is starting as our distribution arm, heavily vested in the upper Midwest, where various forages are grown and produced. However, our true coverage area is really coast to coast at this point, especially with some of our newer ventures of alfalfa germplasm.
So, Bryan, when you come to a show like the Agribusiness Showcase and you're talking with farmers and other industry members, what are you hoping to get across with your message at a show like this?
Yeah, I think, whether it's Iowa or other agribusiness associations, we have a close relationship with them. Obviously, many of their members are customers of ours, in the dealer form. Okay, so a lot of folks here today are dealers, and I would say that majority of the conversation today is we can appreciate and thank them for our business and continue to build that relationship to, again, work with them and then their customers or the grower or the farmer, so to speak. So that's really what these kinds of shows are all about.
And then, Bryan, you mentioned it a little bit, but on the alfalfa side of things, I know that's a big part of your business. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, certainly. So September 2023, we made an acquisition of Corteva's germplasm and R&D for alfalfa. So first year, we really transitioned and brought online their Alpharex brand. And then a year later, as you'll see coming into 2025, we're going to be bringing online their Dairyland and the Pioneer. Specifically for Pioneer customers, our new brand will be the 5 Series brand. That is exclusive to Pioneer. And then the Alpharex and Dairyland numbers, so to speak, not the brands themselves, but those numbers will be kind of wrapped up and conglomerated into one.
Bryan, why was that so important for the company to get that germplasm and R&D all under one roof?
Yeah, great question. So DLF is a large history of breeding and product development and bringing new forage grasses, legumes, and specifically turf, to the market in the industry. I would say, alfalfa was kind of the missing piece, and we were fortunate enough to be able to make that acquisition. I think it really, speaks volumes to, for this vast and I would say broad germplasm to find a home with a small seed specializing company.
Bryan Decker with Crosse Seeds, my guest here today. Bryan, is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa growers or Iowa listeners know about when it comes to anything you're excited about or just thinking about for 2025?
No, I would just say, certainly reach out to us if you have any questions. Our main goal is education and providing solutions for not only our dealer network, but but certainly the growers and farmers in America. And, we have a full-fledged team of experts ready to serve you.
Bryan Decker, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it, and have a great rest of the Agribusiness Showcase.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you to Bryan Decker of La Crosse Seed for joining today's show. Coming up, we will have the closing markets with Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. But first, a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it is time now for closing markets. I'm joined by Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Curt, what did we see in the trade in the grains here today?
Oh, meltdown. We just couldn't get to see any stabilization at all. Corn market, even the wheat market, took the stairs up and the elevator down. It's just a brutal week. Corn finished down 6 to 10 cents on the day. Beans down 11 to 12 cents. Wheat was down about 7 to 8 cents. On the weekly charts, corn down 19 to 35 cents. Soybeans 30, 31 cents lower. And wheat market down 47 cents a bushel. And to rub a little bit more salt in the wound, the corn's 25, 45 cents off the high. Beans 30 to 60 cents off the high. Wheat 60 cents off the high. So it's just been a total meltdown. Commodity funds sold about 3,100 wheat, 12,600 corn, 7,100 beans, 3,700 oil, and about 4,100 contracts of meal going into midday. Those levels are going to come in a little higher here. And it'd be interesting to see what the fund open position is. They did a lot of liquidation here today.
So, Curt, when you look at the direction we took here over the last couple of days and mostly moving to the downside, do you point to those USDA Ag Outlook numbers? Do we point to the tariff concerns, or is it coming to the end of the month and getting ready for March? Is it all of the above?
All of the above. You pretty well summed her up there real good. Liquidation in the month. We'll see if some new money comes in as buyers here on Monday. But just the White House comments or what took place here in the last 2 days out of the administration just kind of puts a little fear or concerns about these tariffs that, they're going to stick to their position there and there's going to be some friction. So we're subject to getting a little spat with our trading partners, particularly Mexico and Canada. So there's this risk being headed into the weekend, and I think the longs went it out, and those who needed to protect the downside kind of jumped in there and took some hedge positions. Outlook for them, that's our first number. The March 30th, 31st report, that's going to be the key. That's actual farmer surveys we know. Then two, the weather, the spring weather, that could fluctuate the acres too. So as you look at that drought monitor, boy, it is showing dry conditions in the upper third of the Midwest.
Fortunately, here in the state of Iowa, we have just some very small, very dry pockets, but for the most part, we are just fine when you look at the overall moisture situation. Curt, let's talk about the other side of the ag marketplace, the livestock complex. What happened in the trade for cattle and hogs?
Well, Friday took hold there too, down up front. April's fats down 250. Hogs were down anywhere from 7 to 250. On the weekly chart, fats down about $1.30, $1.40. Hogs down $4. Quite a bit off the highs, just like the grains. Tariff concerns. It's just one thing after another. The wrong time of the year to be doing this, man. We're supposed to get some warmer weather here and start seeing some cookout featuring take place in through here. So the funds were hefty long in certain sectors of the livestock, and I think they ran for cover in that area too.
He is Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net, my guest for closing markets. Curt, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
We're at 1-800-779-1515. Go to agmarket.net, click on Intel. That's where the team puts together most of the research, news, and recommendations.
Curt, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
Very good. Catch you next week.
Thank you to Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net for our closing markets today. Let's take a look at how the numbers closed in the ag marketplace, and we can find our market information anytime on our website at iowaagnet.com.
March corn closes down 11 1/4 at 453 1/2. March soybeans down 11 1/4 at 10.11 1/2. March soybean meal up 80 cents at 291.70. March soybean oil down $1.22 at 43.53. Chicago wheat down 9 3/4 at 537 even. Minneapolis wheat down 1 1/4 at 585 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 13 cents at 558 1/4. March oats unchanged at 360 1/4. On the Merc, April live cattle down $3.47 at 192.65. March feeder cattle down $1.47 at 274.97. April lean hogs down 70 cents at 83.67. April pork cutout unchanged at 96.80. Class 3 milk down 33 cents at 18.67.
That's it for closing markets for this Friday, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Don't forget as well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to our morning, midday, and closing market podcasts wherever you find your favorite podcast at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. Don't forget as well to check us out on social media at Facebook, X, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And one more time, when you go back to the podcast page, make sure and listen to the Iowa Ag Matters Daily Podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.